Chapter 8. Marcus had no idea what to do next. The police were looking for him, and the voice of the detective had told him that he was their prime suspect. He knew the police, or at least he thought he knew. A friend from school joined the police after he was made redundant from a bank. They went out for a drink every now and again. While most of their friends had broken off their friendship when he enlisted in the police, the only friends people in the police had was others in the police and all that. Marcus had stayed in touch, and there was one conversation from one particular night that stuck in his mind. The friend said that the police were so overstretched in terms of resources that when they had a suspect in the frame, they stopped looking for alternatives. If they spent a week on a case, then they would have another 20+ cases land on their desk in the meantime. Their policy was that if someone looked guilty, then they probably were. Marcus listened at the time over a few pints and wondered at how he had ended up in this situation. At the time, it was something to laugh in astonishment at. Now, it was at the very core of his thinking. The detective had pretty much pointed the finger at him, and now he was worried that they wouldn't even bother looking elsewhere. So, that narrowed his options. He was sure that he couldn't go home, even though he desperately wanted to see his children and make sure they were coping with the tragedy. Likewise, he couldn't contact any members of Ellie's family. She had a large family that all looked out for each other. His wife was different. He didn't have what you would conventionally call a family. Given up for adoption at birth, Marcus didn't know anything about his biological parents until he was 16. That was how old he was when he put the pieces together. By the time he found out who they were, his biological mother and father were dead. A year later, the people who he called Mum and Dad were gone too. No siblings, no aunts or uncles. Marcus was alone until he found Ellie. Her family was warm and welcoming, but they wouldn't be now if the police had been to see them and sown the seeds of doubt in their mind. The family wouldn't help him if they believed that he was Ellie's killer. That route was out. Marcus was sure that friends would be tracked. His workplace would be swarming with police. He had to go it alone. And then it struck him right between the eyes. Marcus knew the place he had to go in order to clear his name and find out who the killer was. It was risky, but the risk was worth it. "I'll clear my name and find whoever killed you, Ellie," Marcus said as he kissed his wedding ring and he set off.